Awesome. All right. Welcome, everybody. We're so glad to have you here. My name is Nina Rafo, and I'm the Assistant Director here at Tulane's Alumni Office of Career and Professional Development. So before we get started, just a few housekeeping things. Today's session will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. Um, Later this week, probably it'll be uploaded. We have over 60 videos from past professional development series, and we really encourage you to go check them out if you're interested in just kind of seeing past content. So just for a quick short welcome before I hand it off, Maury Schwartz is the president and CEO of Career Insiders, and she's also a part of our Career Coach Network here at Tulane. And I'm really excited for her session today. I always learn so much, and I really just enjoy all the content. So with that being said, there will be a time for questions at the end of the meeting. I'm also going to launch a poll in a second for everybody to answer. And then we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to hand it off to Maury. Welcome, Maury.
Hi, everybody. Nina and I were just joking about, I don't know what, we were laughing. So welcome to our Laugh Fest. Hopefully this will be enjoyable for everybody. I just wanted to let you know, I think that Nina said who I am. I'm Maury Schwartz, and I help people get jobs. So my job is to help you get a job or another job. I've been doing this for over 20 years. So I worked with some of the same people a few times, which is really, really nice. So I'm waiting here. I'm watching for the poll because I want to see how many people have had experience using ChatGPT, period, and in so let's see. Looks like that just over half have used ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I can't even talk today. Before, and maybe a third have used it in job search. So we're going to end the poll. I just let's see if I can make that go away. Okay, great. And then I'm going to share my screen so you can see I have a little mini PowerPoint, and then we're going to just dive right in and do some examples. If I can, there we go. I call this version 1.0 because it's going to be the basics. We're going to run through a scenario using my information to guide ChatGPT. So we have a few basics before that, but I'm calling it version 1.0 because come back sometime in the future, we'll do more complex activities regarding your job search. This is the basics. Some of you, a third of you, have used ChatGPT in your search, so you may have things to add that I'm not going to talk about. So hopefully we'll have some time at the end for questions and suggestions. Okay, we'll call this a brainstorming session. Okay, so what is ChatGPT? We're going to start right here at the basics. Since over half of you have used it, you probably know then. So it's a highly advanced natural language processing model. The company that has developed it is OpenAI, and it's trained on a diverse range of internet content. So all of this information has been fed into it, and that's where it pulls from. But I want you to know that it has a cutoff date of January 2022. So ChatGPT does not know about anything current unless you put it in when you're doing a prompt. So if you, for instance, I asked it to write me a resume based on my LinkedIn profile, and I gave it the link, the URL to my LinkedIn profile, and it can't do that. You have to copy and paste and put it all in there, and we'll do some of those things. Just so you know, GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer, and that's a lot of G's and pre and PRs and TRs for me. But at any rate, now you know it's all about generative AI, which you can look at the word generative, and that's what it's doing. It's generating content based on content that you have already, that you've given it. ChatGPT is just one of many tools out there to use for using AI, and some of you may have experience with some of the other ones, and and they do some of the same things, but we're going to focus on ChatGPT. It's the most popular, and that's why I've chosen it. Okay, it understands and generates human-like text based on input it gets. So that's, and it does it in a conversational manner, so you don't have to have weird prompts. You can just put what you're thinking in there. Okay, so that's the basics. Why AI and why ChatGPT in your job search? Well, first of all, or anything, saves time. It provides a personal assistant. I can always use a personal assistant, can't you? It gets you unstuck and expands your content and vocabulary, and it improves your communication skills. I know this is amazing, but basically I use ChatGPT to get me unstuck mostly, or to get me started. So whether I'm writing a paper on something, writing a post for LinkedIn, writing an article, creating a resume, or I'm looking for other ways to say certain things. This is a really good tool. It gets you started. You have to remember, you have to remember that, I'm just going to go on this. You can use it in job search for crafting a resume, writing a cover letter, creating a LinkedIn profile, preparing for an interview, and writing that thank you message. So if any of you are thinking that you don't have to write thank you messages after interviews, think again. I'm not going to dwell on that here, but you've probably heard me before on that issue. Okay, so we're going to get started here using it. And I just want you to see that. So this is just the basic screen. Basically, you just log into it. If you don't, you can create a sign-on to ChatGPT. Beware of it. Okay, so the two items on the right there, you don't share sensitive information. ChatGPT keeps everything you put into it. That's how it is able to generate more text. It's been fed a lot of information before, up until the beginning of last year, and all of the information you give it, it includes in its repertoire. So don't give it anything that should be confidential, and don't share sensitive information for it, because it will learn from your information. And check the facts. So if you create something from ChatGPT, don't use it word for word. What you want to do is use it to get you started, to get the basics, but you're rarely ever going to want to just have it create something and run with it. There's a famous case of a legal case that it had submittals to the Supreme Court, or maybe it was an appellate court, and the attorney that handled it, the case was handed off to that attorney at the last minute, and he created his whole case, or his whole presentation, with ChatGPT, and he sent it in. Well, it cited case law that didn't exist. So it got made up somehow in ChatGPT from some other information that somebody else had put in. So you have to check your facts when you're using it. For me, it's a startup tool, right? Or if it's an unstuck tool. Okay. Here we go. So let's get started with this. I'm going to stop. Let's see, I guess I have to stop my share, and I'm going to stop the PowerPoint, and we're going to go right into it. So here we go. So you can see on the left, it will show some, oh, wait a minute. Can you see?
Yeah, can you share your screen one more time?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
No, you're all
thinking
good.
about, I got that. I go, wait a minute.
Zoom is always very humbling. I always find that.
It's very what?
Humbling. Like, I'll really think I have a hold on it, and then I just won't.
I know. Well, the interesting thing is that I've been using it now for what, 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I still stop with the changing back and forth. I just
Same.
go, and I guess it's better that I do that than to flip, show the wrong thing. So anyway, here we are. I'm going to need to, let's see, get that out of my way. Okay. So, excuse me just a second. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, so here we're going to go through some examples, and hopefully this will take us all the way through in terms of what I'm going to do. We're going to be me, and I'm a career coach, as you know, specifically a job search coach. So we're going to create information for me, and you'll be able to use the same thing. So we go down, and I have things in my way. Let's move that. All right. So I'm going to okay, so I'm a job search coach who helps individual job seekers as well as companies lay off employees, meaning outplacement. I combine a personalized individual approach with use of tech tools. Write me a resume. That's the basics. So that means that all it's got to go on is what I've given it, plus whatever it might think it knows. So let's see here. It gives us a warning. Involves gathering specific information about an individual's skills. They don't have my personal information, so they're going to give me a basic template with some good information in here to go on. So then what I want to do next, I'm going to continue to work on this whole theme here. So I'm going to say add metrics. Okay, we know that when we're selling ourselves, we need to show the would-be employer or the potential employer what we've done and how we've made things better, right? If we made things worse, we just won't tell them about it. We won't talk about it. We'll just tell them how we've made things better. Okay, so we're going to add some metrics here. And if you see over in the right, it says stop generating. So it's generating, and you can see the little dots are continuing here. So that means it's all right. So then it says regenerate. That means it's finished. Let's go up and see what it did for me. It tells me it's so nice. ChatGPT, it gives you little encouraging comments. And I guess they have those in there. They're generated as well. So they've provided an objective, and then they don't have any information about where I work or when I work there. So it's putting in a framework. And then it gives me some metrics. I've provided one-on-one coaching to over 100 job seekers, resulting in a 20% increase in successful job placements within 6 months. That's pretty good. I don't think I can work with 100 people in 6 months unless you count today in this presentation, because I'd like to give good one-on-one consultation. At any rate, this is what ChatGPT is doing. It's taking it from its vast database. It's taking information that's been fed into it, and it's likely information that I've fed into it in searches that I've done in the past. So it's like it has this database, and it goes in and pulls out statements. And you notice that when this one has metrics in it, in my current position, it's in past tense, whereas before it was in present tense for the current job, which is normally what you put on your resume. But if you've made an achievement, then you're going to make it in past tense. Also, it just made up these numbers, right? I didn't give it any information. So it's totally made up. So maybe I need to sort of improve this by not making somebody up. This would just be, I could make this up and send it in to it for a job, and it would be a total lie. I mean, I'm sure that there's some facts that are probably right. But I'm going to go through here and I'm looking at it, and it's got some certifications that it made up for me. It's got skills at the bottom and some professional memberships. And I'm going to say, I want those skills at the top. Oh, and by the way, I don't like putting references available upon request. What does that give it? Nothing. It just takes up space on your resume. Generally, they know that. So that, okay. So it's still generating. The 3 little dots are moving, and it says stop if I want to give up on it. Okay. And you can regenerate. If you don't like what it says, you can click regenerate. It's always good to give it a little bit of information with the regeneration like I did, so that it knows what to focus on. Now, another thing it includes here is an objective. Well, if you've attended any of my other presentations, I don't like using an objective, but they're per se, because this, if you read what it says here, dedicated, results-driven job search coach with a passion, so-and-so, that's not an objective. So, except for the very last sentence, seeking opportunities to make a positive impact. So just delete that other one. And what I would call the statement, dedicated, results-driven job search coach, is a nice statement. In fact, you could put it at the very top above the skills, something like that. But I wouldn't call it an objective. It's more a statement about you. Okay, so that's what we've done here. Let's see. Okay, again, references, you don't include those on a resume unless someone specifically asks for them. And if you're just sending in your resume, I would never do that. I mean, I think that some contract positions may want you to put them in so they can check right away, but you know, my advice about references, make sure they're on top of this before you ever give anybody their names. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to look for jobs for myself. So I'm going to Google career coach jobs, because I go, okay, well, what's out there? You know that you can, actually, I take this back. Sorry. I'm going to need to go to another screen, and I'm going to, and I have a URL here that basically it'll show you what I'm looking for. I am Googling career coach jobs. I could have just written it in there, but I'd already done this beforehand. It's like those cooking shows where they show you how to put it all together, and then they put it in the oven, and then 5 seconds later, they pull it out of the oven already. So just think of me as that. Okay, so I just did a Google search for career coach jobs, and I looked at this, and there's a wait list career coach. I have no idea what that means, career coach, but the Haas School of Business, my alma mater, is looking for an MBA career coach and assistant director. Now, if I weren't so independent, I might apply for that job. So we're going to go look at it. And the one I like Googling to search jobs, you know, there are job posting sites you can use, and I like using LinkedIn and Indeed, but lately I've just taken to Googling everything because it brings up jobs posted all over the place. And it doesn't have everything. So you'll want to try several things. So I'm going to just click on apply on Inside Higher Ed because I want to see the whole job description. Google gives you this sort of chopped up version. So we're gonna so we have the job description. There's a lot of stuff about the school, the department, and then the job summary. So what I want to do, so I would love to go to ChatGPT and just give it the link to this. But let's see what happens when we do that. Copy it. I'm going back to ChatGPT and I want to say, use my resume or use my, and this job description to create a new resume. And so I'm going to put the link in. It didn't do that, did it? All right, let's go back. Hang on. Thanks for hanging in with me. Okay, this is the link to the job description. And here's what ChatGPT tells you. It says, I don't do that. I can't go look out there for you. But if you tell me what it says, I can help you. So so we're going to go back to this position. We're going to do a cut and paste or a copy and paste, and I'm going to just do most of it, not quite all of it. Okay, and copy this, then go back to ChatGPT. This is the place where it can be a little bit cumbersome, but let's go back to the top of this because I want to go back and create this again. So it's going to use the resume I already gave it and create one that's customized for this job. So sometimes it pauses. Okay, so it revised my resume. Again, it puts in an objective. We don't like objective, but this one really isn't all an objective. Okay, it put the skills at the top because I asked it last time. I asked it to move those skills to the top instead of at the bottom. So it takes what it created for me before, which still doesn't have all of my information, but it's making up, it's making up a resume that includes information for that job. Let me go back and say that you never want to use exactly what's generated for you ever. So usually you want to take pieces. So for me, the item that helps me the most that I mentioned on the advantages of using ChatGPT is that it gets me unstuck. So it pulls together some basic information, and then it creates statements, and it takes the input I've given it, which is the job description and a resume they previously created for me that actually wasn't my resume, right? I never gave it my resume. So it creates something, and then it allows you to go in and take pieces that work for you. Okay, so you never want to, this is not a resume you're going to want to use ever. First of all, you have a lot of information to change, and it tells you that at the end. It always tells you this revised resume aligns your experience with the specific requirements and responsibilities outlined in the job description. Adjust the details as needed to accurately reflect your background. And so you'll want to do that. I mean, first of all, it doesn't have any employer names, and it's got and it has additional relevant experience at the end, which is very interesting. And the other part, and it's to present, so anything to present, it will have in positive and present tense. Now, if I asked it to include or metrics, it's got a couple of them, but let's see what it comes up with. I get impatient sometimes, but actually it works pretty quickly.
Hey, Maury, while it's generating, I just see a couple of questions in the chat that I figure I'll just quickly ask. Where should people put volunteer work when they're doing their resume? Do you think that should be in like professional experience or in the additional experience that was listed at the end?
Oh, interesting. Come back next time I do my resume presentation. Actually, though, the volunteer experience, you should think of it as this. How is it relevant to the jobs you're applying for? So everything in your resume needs to point to the direction of the job. That's why I fed this job in for this. Volunteer experience should go at the end. And I wouldn't put everything. I would put things that you can that would translate into using skills that are important in the job you're going to. And if you're applying for leadership positions and you've been in leadership and volunteer, that's excellent. So you want to use those. So you don't want to use every volunteer experience you've had. You want to pick and choose the ones that would be most relevant. If you have been, if you're more of a recent graduate maybe, and you've been doing volunteer work, as well as some professional paid work, then in your volunteer job is exactly on point with what you're applying for, then perhaps you could put it in your reverse chronological list of your jobs that you've held and their descriptions. Put it in the right time place, but put in parentheses after the title that it is a pro bono job or a volunteer job. So that way, so really my answer to almost all questions regarding a career search and a job search is it depends. So that's another one of those. It depends on what your situation. If you need more work experience and the volunteer job is relevant, then put it in place with your other work experience. But make sure that you mention that it's volunteer, or you can use pro bono.
Awesome. Thanks,
Okay.
Maury. I just wanted to ask that. And then for
Yep.
other questions, we'll save them for the end. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that you did that, because it's otherwise we're just sitting here. Okay. You have to scroll up to find, I keep looking at it. You have to scroll up till you get to this little green logo to find out. And it always says things like Certainly, incorporating metrics into your resume helps quantify your achievements and demonstrates the impact you've had in your previous roles. And that's exactly what I say about metrics. A resume needs to show, in addition to information about what you actually did, what your tasks or assignments were, what impact did you make? What difference did you make in the organization? Which is why I'm going to skip over this objective, because I really, I hate them. And move down. It keeps skills at the top now. Remember I said put the skills at the top, and now it does that. Okay, so here we go, and it's added all sorts of lovely numbers. And you will notice that the sentences are all in past tense, because you can't talk about something you've achieved and still be doing it at the same time. I mean, it could be that you're still doing the work, and that you were doing when you achieved that, but the achievement itself has to be in past tense. So, but not everything is, I mean, in a current job, you can have past and present tense statements together. I mean, there are people that say have present tense only in your current job. Well, that doesn't allow for the achievements. What did you make happen? What difference did you make? But you also may be doing things currently. So I'm not sure that this one with past tense all the time in every statement is correct, but you have to use your judgment as to whether you're still doing it and you did this. You have, let's say, for this one, conducted one-on-one and group coaching sessions for over 150 clients, resulting in a 25% increase in successful job placements. You could still be doing that. So you could talk about conducting one-on-one and so forth, and then you might say, completing sessions with over 150 clients in the past year or in the past 3 years, but you're still doing it, right? And the increase could be in a certain time period. Okay, so we got that. Then let's just see the rest of it. Again, you want to use this as a place to get started, or even if you're started in your resume and you want to ask ChatGPT you're stuck on how to say something. And I'm going to go on to something else now, so I'm not going to show this example quite yet. But basically, you've got your resume, and you're stuck on how to talk about conducting one-on-one and groups coaching sessions. So you put in at the bottom, you put in what you think it should be, and you say, rewrite this. And in fact, let's do that. Reword. And it works pretty fast, even though we had time to talk during the last one. So it reworded it, it rewrote it in a different way. I've used it for that a lot, actually. I've used ChatGPT when I'm writing a resume, or working with someone on writing their resume, helping them write their resume, and they've come up with something that isn't quite right, and I've come up and I said, okay, let's go to ChatGPT and see how they would come up with it. And you can do this a few times, and then maybe maybe take parts of something that you like contributing to a 25% upswing in successful job placements. I like that word, upswing. You don't see that. That's probably the first time I've seen that in a resume. But you want to use descriptive words, not just the same old, same old. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to say, write a cover letter for this job. I hope it still remembers. Yes, of course it does. So this is the formal cover letter. I'm so excited that it does that. Oh, it's still generating, sorry. I like it that it just generates it, right here on the spot. Okay, so here here's the cover letter. It's a formal cover letter, like, we learned, hopefully most of us learned how to write years ago. And now I'm dating myself. But at any rate, so what I mean by formal, it's got your information at the top. And then it's got the employer's name, they call that the external address and the internal address. And if you have a sort of a header on your resume with all of that information, just copy and paste the that header into your resume so that it look into the cover letter, if it's a formal cover letter, so that they look the same. And what you can't write in this field, so I can't go into this and try to change this word. But what you want to do is you want to copy and paste. So you want to copy this, I like this, but I want to change something, or I copied the whole letter and decide to change it. I copy it into a Word document or a Google Doc, and then I can work on it. Now this is an extremely long cover letter, so I'm going to say make it shorter and more concise. So it's thinking. I'm so formal sometimes. I have a tendency to say please and thank you, but it doesn't need it. But you can say it. Okay. All right. So here's the new one. It is shorter. It is more concise. It could be even shorter than this. We'll let this go. Now, one of the things, if you've ever been in one of my workshops talking about cover letters, the first thing, it says, I'm expressing my interest in the position name, etc. With a proven track record as job search coach, I'm confident in my ability to contribute effectively to your institution. Somewhere in here, so they never say why they want to, why me, this is me, I'm writing this for myself. So it never says why I'm interested in the job. And so what I always teach in cover letters is the first thing you want to do here, first of all, you don't need to put as advertised on, it doesn't matter where you found it. Sometimes if you're applying online with an applicant tracking system, it asks you and you can put that there, but you don't need it in your cover letter. So instead of this right here, is you want to put why you're interested in them. So this is a place to put give a compliment to the Haas School of Business Career Center. And I could say as a former Haas student, I used I was pleased with the services provided with the Career Center, and now I'd like to join and give back to new graduates or something. That's a lame statement, but you get what I say. So that's what goes here. You want to go, why them? Because they are going to be bored, and that's why you don't want a long letter, and you want to make it, make it interesting. Okay. All right. But it is important because the ChatGPT did talk about it did take information from the job description that has to do with qualitative assessments, dedication to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. That came straight out of the Haas School of Business job description that we're working on here. So and a lot of these things, they came right out of that. So you could take this letter, copy it into a Word document, and use the pieces that you want. Okay, let's see. Okay, so then we can say, what do I want to do? Right, and interview thank you letter. Is that what I want to do now? We're just good. I think I'm running low on time, so I'm going to make it a little faster. I want to at least have some time for your questions. But okay, let's see what they wrote. Okay, so I believe in writing thank yous as email messages, and a lot of your cover letters will be email messages too, so you don't need all this stuff at the top. So here you can create a thank you. Again, it's too long, and you need to add specifics to it. But at least if you're like wondering how to start it, then this will give you a good start. I don't think that I've used ChatGPT at any particular time where I've taken what it says without doing anything to it. I mean, actually, when I started creating this presentation, I asked ChatGPT to create a PowerPoint presentation for me. And it came up with a message that said, I can't use applications like PowerPoint, but I can give you some ideas. So it gave me, it sort of outlined, what I would want to talk about today, in terms of using ChatGPT as a job search tool. I used a couple of pieces of it, not much. I already knew what I was going to talk about, but I wanted to say, okay, so you can create a LinkedIn profile with this. I'm not going to do it because of time, because mostly I tend to recommend that you use your resume as your LinkedIn profile for the most part. I mean, you've got the descriptions, the employers, the positions, and the job descriptions with bullet points. So what I will do though is we're going to talk about an about section. So for that part of the profile, I want to create an about section that emphasizes my personal strengths, and I listed some of them. So you see, so far I've been having fairly simple prompts, but you can add on to these prompts so that you can give that information to put into what it uses. So you're adding to its database, frankly. So you're giving it, whatever you feed into it, it's going to have you be able to use somewhere else also. But the issue is that you can also be the user of this information. So I want an about section that talks about me, and it emphasizes my personal strengths and personalized service, although I misspelled that, human interaction, enthusiasm, high energy, commitment to client success. So this is going to be the first thing that, after my picture and my headline, this will be the first thing that people see, read about me on LinkedIn. Now, I just mentioned headline. That's the phrase that goes below your picture and your name on your LinkedIn profile. It's right at the top, so people can see that, especially when they're doing a search and the search lists several profiles, you along with, I don't know, a bunch of other people. So the things that show up are your picture, your title, and the headline, and maybe the company. So the headline, can be your current title at a current company. That's the default that LinkedIn uses. But I'd rather have it include something that's more about me. So you can always go to my LinkedIn profile and ask me to connect. I'd love to connect with you. And you can see what I've written there. I'm not going to belabor it. But anyway, this is the about section. So we wanted, again, I love the way it says, absolutely, crafting it's like I ask it a question, which I'm not asking. I sort of implied a question. So here's how it wrote it. It gave a brief statement about, I'm known for my passion and delivering. It used all of the words I used: high energy, enthusiasm, human interactions, a fresh approach to every client engagement. And then it talks about how many does it have? 5 of personal strengths. Now, it's interesting that it didn't do it this time, but a lot of times that ChatGPT, instead of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, I usually use bullets, but sometimes it'll use emojis, which I'm not keen on, but other people seem to like. Okay, so that's the about section. Of course, I would take that and edit it and customize it so that it's more me. Remember that you've taken this information from ChatGPT's database. Everybody else is taking information from the same place. And of course, there are only so many words and phrases in the language. So, there's going to be some repeat, but you don't want to plagiarize. So don't ever copy word for word from someone else. It's like you could say, write a resume for me, or a LinkedIn profile that's like this one. And so you could say you're a career coach and you fed it all the details from my resume or my LinkedIn profile, and to see if it comes up with one for you. You can't, you can, but you don't want to copy word for word or exact phrases from somebody else's. I mean, you want to make it look like it's from you. We want to personalize it. And this whole question here about including my personal strengths. So this starts to personalize what you're including. These are the characteristics of me that I want people to know about when they're thinking of working with me. Okay, so let's we're going to talk about interviews. So you can see this button that says regenerate. So if you don't like it, you can regenerate it and it'll come up with something slightly different. Okay, what questions should I be prepared to answer it? And I think I could have made it shorter. So I want to know what questions I should be prepared to answer, right? What might they ask me? And I have if you've attended my interview presentation before, you know that I have a guide, but this is good, but that's pretty generic. So this one, this compares it to the actual job posting. So this is really valuable. So you want to be able to answer these questions. So one of them is the tell me about yourself. And then here's some questions about the specifics of the job. How have you engaged with cross-functional partners? That was one of the requirements. How do you track and collect CSEA and compliant employment data? I don't do that, so I wouldn't be able to answer that question with any detail. Can you share an example of a successful workshop or training initiative? Okay, so so it gives me questions, and it sort of gives me a little brief guide on, recommendation on how to think about answering it. How about this one? What questions should I ask in this interview? I believe that the questions you ask are as important as the answers to the questions they give, because you want to ask questions that are relevant to the job, that show that you know what the job is, that you understand it, and that you have done your homework. You've read about the organization, you know that job post description inside out, and you can talk about the job. They really don't like it hiring managers really don't like it when you come in and you ask questions that you could have found out elsewhere, like how many employees do you have, or what are your main products, or anything that's out there that's so easy to find on the internet. You don't want to be asking in an interview. I like this because it ends this list of questions to be prepared to answer with, remember to use the STAR approach. Okay, situation, task, action, result, when answering behavioral questions. Okay, here's the questions that I should ask in the interview. Can you describe the typical career development journey of an MBA student at Haas, and how does the coaching team contribute to this process? I think that's a pretty good question. In what ways does the school engage with industry partners? How does the coaching team stay abreast of industry trends? Can you describe the most significant challenges or opportunities currently facing the career coaching team? How is success measured in this role? And that's good. That's sort of like one of those universal questions. Here's number 13. What is the culture like within the coaching team in the broader Haas? The way they've worded it is not so bad. I usually don't like to ask what the culture per se is, but you could ask around it. You can say, how does the coaching team collaborate and with the broader Haas community, etc. Okay, so you see here, it tells you, it does, I don't see, we don't need me because it tells you that the questions demonstrate your genuine interest in the role. Okay, so let's do this. We have not a lot of time. Answer the interview question. Tell me about yourself. Ha! Let's see what it says. Okay, so generally you want to answer this question and between 1 and 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 at the most. But when you're preparing answers before your interview, keep it shorter because you'll undoubtedly go longer when you're actually doing it in the interview. Okay, so here it says, certainly my name is. Okay, well, if I'm in there by appointment talking to someone or on the Zoom with them, then I don't need to say what my name is. But it gives a little bit about the background, what I'm doing in my current role. And here it does include a percentage in successful job placements, some strengths, and some other information and this is exactly what it should be. It should never be, tell me about yourself, should never be, I started out at Tulane University with a bachelor's degree in math, and then I did this, and then after that I did this, and then by the time you get to the most recent experiences, which will have the most important information for the interviewer, they're like asleep. They may be looking at you, but they're asleep. So I like the way that it has come up with this. So you take this and then you customize it. You make it, you change it to your language. By this time, ChatGPT may know a little bit more about the language I use, because we've been doing this all the way. So if you wanted to start all over again, then you could go to new chat up at the top. So that, okay, let's just start. I'm a new person now. How about this one? Okay, we only have actually 5 or 6 minutes. So what I'd like to do now is to stop sharing. There are 16 messages in the chat. So perhaps there's some statements, some suggestions, some questions that we can go with.
Yeah, I can read through some of the questions. So we've got, are there search term qualifiers that can narrow Google searches to active job postings?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
Did I break up? I'm sorry. Are there search term qualifiers that can narrow Google searches to show active job postings?
Oh, of course. So when I was doing the Google search on the career coach jobs, you can just like with the prompt on ChatGPT, you can put more information, so that I might say, instead of career coach jobs, I might say, ask for job search coach jobs in San Francisco, or using ChatGPT or something like. So the more information you give it, the more it can narrow your search.
Awesome. Okay. Is there a prompt to use your actual resume and revise it based on an actual job description as opposed to updating a quote unquote fake resume template?
Yes, you can load your resume in and have it edit that one. I was going to do that today too, but I talked too much. So, but what you do, so if you remember where I copied and pasted the job posting, if you do that, you can do it with your resume. Take my resume, and here it is, and then rewrite it based on this job posting.
Cool. Okay.
That's the thing about this. It's intelligent, but But I have to tell you, right before I came on, I was listening to the news, and there's a big conference, Asia Pacific Economic Conference in San Francisco this week, and it's just crazy about with the people. But they're talking about how the Chinese are really creating a whole new politicians out of using ChatGPT. So it made me not want to even talk about it today. But anyway, we're going to talk about how we use it in this narrow to help ourselves.
Totally.
But that means you could create a whole new candidate.
Yeah, it's crazy. Where can we find a list of classes that you offer? If you send me the link, I can send that out in an email afterwards, just so that everybody can contact you. Yeah. Will ChatGPT look at a website, or is it necessary to post it into the search field? I'm specifically thinking about whether it can look at job postings on a LinkedIn page.
Nope. No, like I said, the information that was originally fed into it ended in January 2022. So it can't take a link. I wish that it could. If you get for instance, if you gave it the link to the job posting, or it can't do the search for you.
Do you see higher success rates with candidates who use ChatGPT for their resume and cover letter versus those who do not?
Interesting. Well, the word is still out, so I'm not sure, but I think that I think that it's a tool, and there's so many other tools. I mean, Google is a tool, LinkedIn is a tool, but you have to remember to to use your own voice. But at least you have a better sense of, I think, of how you might structure something. I mean, someone could, excuse me, but someone could be an excellent, I know it's my fault. Someone could be a really good writer and not need it at all because it just flows, and so it's not like the end all and be all. Nothing is the end all and be all of job search. I'm not going to guarantee that you'll get a job just because you use ChatGPT.
Cool. I think you kind of answered this one, but how do you use ChatGPT to prepare for interviews? I feel like we kind of went over that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Are there any websites or links that you can share to learn how to leverage various ChatGPT's functionalities for writing resumes and LinkedIn profiles?
There are some. I can provide a list, with some information later. There's tons of information. I mean, you could Google use ChatGPT in a job search, and you'll come up with a lot. That actually, why don't you just do that, and you'll see what's available.
Yeah, and we'll be sending out an email after this with some of Maury's past interview things and like all the information for all of you. And then can you send a list of prompts as examples? We can also put that down, and like some of the stuff that you did in here. And I think that's it. Are there any other questions? Does anybody else have anything else? No? Okay. Maury, thank you so much. This was so informative. Do you have any last words or anything to kind of close us out?
I just want to say, remember, you don't want to plagiarize anybody. This is just a thought provoker. And give you some ideas. Some people are just good writers, and the rest of us sometimes need some help and a little prompting. So use it for that. Please don't create your own political candidates or submit anything that isn't true. And stay tuned, because as soon as Tulane will have me, I'll have a version 2.0 of this where we'll get even more detail.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maury, and thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.